Hello and welcome to my Autism Ally podcast, where we come together to share helpful information about autism. This month, we'll be checking in with some local fun spots here in Fort Wayne for our Fun in the Sun series. In this episode, we're going to speak with Megan Price, School and Public Program Manager at Science Central.
Hi, Megan. Thanks for coming to the podcast today.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, we are so excited. I love Science Central. So what we're going to do is we're just going to ask you some questions for our kiddos on the spectrum and help our families understand a little bit more about what you guys do at Science Central for our kiddos. So I'll just get us started. What is the in-person supports that you guys offer for those with disabilities every day? Just that simple everyday visit.
Yeah, so for an everyday visit, all you would need to do is stop by the front desk and ask for any sort of sensory-friendly items that you might need. One of the ones that we get asked for most often are for headphones, because during a regular visitor day, we do have some very jarring announcements because of the acoustics in our building. And all you need to do is stop by the front desk and ask for that. We do have some of like the weighted shoulder snakes, and then also just some fidget toys as well that are available upon request. If a calming space is needed, all of our rooms are multi-purpose, so we don't have a permanent calming space, but if that is something that you and your family need, all you have to do is request it at the front desk. All of our rooms are multi-purpose, so we don't have a set calming space for you, but we can definitely get an area set up for you and your family if it's needed.
Wonderful. And is that monitored in any way?
It's self-monitored.
So, Megan, what in-person programs do you have for those with disabilities?
During one of our Special Abilities days, we do offer two versions of them. One that is closed to the public, and that's during a week, and it tends to be school groups and families with kids who are homeschooled. And then we also have an open to the public day as well. That is a Saturday, and they kind of alternate every other month. That way there's accessibility and inclusion in both of the programs. What you can expect when you visit the museum on one of those days is that there will be a set theme. For example, our last one was geology. And so we did one of our demonstrations that focuses on geology, Mineral Madness. We had a station where we talked about dinosaur adaptations, and you can make your own dinosaur. You could do a dinosaur dig, and you could also make a take-home Bath Fizzy dinosaur egg. All of these activities are staffed with extra staff and volunteers. They are at the participants' own choice, what they want to do and what they don't want to do. If they want to start an activity but don't want to finish it, that's fine. We can package it and send it home. And if that's something else that they don't want to do, we can go ahead and set it aside in case they want to come back and visit that table again later. During those days, we do not have our overhead announcements. We just have a schedule with the specific times that demonstrations will be happening in both of our demonstration theaters. And that kind of helps guide the group and caregivers through those days.
So you talked about the Special Abilities Day. So it's through AWS Foundation. How does this all work? So is there a cost, is there sign up, that kind of thing, for those families that don't know about that amazing opportunity for the AWS Foundation Special Abilities Days?
Yes, that's very important. We are very, very lucky and thankful that we get to work with the AWS Foundation, because all of our programming on those days is free for disabled individuals and their caregivers. So when they come into the museum, they can all participate at no cost to them.
You mentioned earlier COVID and that you had virtual options available at Science Central. So how do families access those options? And is there any special accommodations for those with disabilities in those options?
So when I've developed this program, I've tried to really focus on, as much as I can, universal design. It is something, though, that I'm still working on, and I do appreciate any sort of comments or feedback that caregivers and participants can give me. But what it is so far is there are two options that you have to sign up for, and they kind of focus on the same things. The first one is a virtual only option, where I've developed a Google site that you can access different experiments, and all the experiments I have chosen specifically because most of the materials, if not all of them, are very easy to find in your house. If you don't have them, they're very, very cheap to acquire. You can make a lot of substitutions with them. For example, with a pipette, which is something that I use quite frequently in our experiments. Instead of using that, you can use like a bottle dropper. You can use a straw. You can use, you can dip a spoon in water and do like a drop at a time that way. There's a lot of different things that a lot of different adaptations that families can make. The second part of that, so there's the virtual component with the experiments, and then we have demonstrations that have been pre-recorded, and they focus on a theme. So they're about 5 minutes. So we did a spooky science day, and we had little short 5-minute videos about the different bones, the 5 different bone types we have in our bodies, and then a little bone experiment that you could do at home. We also talked about the chemical reactions within glow sticks. Just a short little 5-minute demonstrations that can be played over and over again for however many times. Hopefully kids like to watch them a lot. And then the second part of that too, that you can register for, are experiment kits. And these are really popular with some of the teachers that we work with. They're able to access our virtual programming, and then they're also able to come into the museum and pick up individual experiment kits that have all of the activities that are online as well.
Do you guys know when your next Special Abilities Day, when it would be, and where we could find that information on your site?
So currently we have online registration for our Special Abilities Day still going on for February, but it is online only. It doesn't include the experiment kits. They are free to register for, so you can definitely look on our website and sign up, and I would send you the email link to the website. To get to that on our website, probably the easiest thing to do is to go to our homepage, sciencecentral.org, and scroll down the homepage until you see a banner that says Special Abilities Days and then AWS Foundation underneath that. Just click on that banner and it'll take you to our registration area. We do have registration for March and April that are also available to be registered, so you can register for all 3. Just like I said before, February is the online programming only, so that way you can kind of see if that's going to be something that interests you and your family, and then sign up for the online registration with the experiment kits going into March and April.
So we know that you have camps during the summer at Science Central. So do your camps, are you able to support individuals with disabilities?
Yes, we are. We try to do this through a few different ways. One of them is having facilities available for them. So we do have a calming space that is permanently set up for our campers, where they are able to go if they need to remove themselves from a situation or they just need some time to themselves. We also have within our camp days, extra time built into the day for campers to explore different activities and take some extra time with those. And then we also, in each of our classrooms, just have a little small space with small activities like Legos, coloring pages, and books for our campers to look at if they just need to take some time to themselves. Something else that we do is we do train our staff. We have partnered with the Northeast Indiana Autism Connection to have someone come in and talk to us about how to work with kids with autism. Things like making sure that we're more patient, that we slow down what we say, that we take time to repeat things, that we work with them one-on-one if that's something that they require. And then we also...
So another camp question, what is the child to staff ratio during your summer camps? Can families provide their own staff?
So during a typical camp year, and this year we are making some changes to our camp, so I'll go into that in a little bit, but during a typical camp, we have a staff ratio of about 10 kids to 3 adults, and how that looks is in a regular camp classroom, there are 32 students and then 3 staff with them. And then we, of course, have a floating staff member who helps with our staff lunches, and getting materials to the classrooms as needed. And then we also have our camp director who is also available to work with the campers as needed. This summer, we are reducing our class sizes to only 12 campers, but we're still keeping a ratio of 2 adults to those 12 campers. Families are, of course, always able to let their own staff members come in if their child requires one-on-one attention, and or they just feel more comfortable with having that caretaker with them.
And just a reminder out there for families, if you're like thinking, wow, must be nice to be able to afford your own staff, you can too. It's a service that's available through your family supports waiver through the state of Indiana. And if you aren't familiar with PAC services, or you have no clue what I'm even talking about, contact us at My Autism Ally, because this is a lifelong funding stream that can be very, very beneficial for your loved one on the autism spectrum.
So you had talked about camps and you talked about some of that extra spaces and things along those lines. How structured are camps? Because it sounds like there is some flexibility that you're letting kids go back to experiments that they are interested in. How much of that is built in the day?
So we do try to be as flexible as possible. We do have structure for our teachers. So in the morning, they typically do 2 to 3 activities. They would take a snack break, do another couple of activities, take a lunch break, and then the afternoon kind of repeats that same structure of the morning. And sometimes we have a little bit more flexibility than with others. For example, our Lego robotics camps. Sometimes we have to, like one classroom will get our Lego robots in the morning, and then because we have a limited number, they have to go to the other classroom in the afternoon. But we try to keep that structure as flexible as possible. I've taught camps before. Sometimes it doesn't make sense for us as teachers to do the activity right when our camp director has written it into our day. So we'll go and we'll start with a different one, and then we'll come back around to that activity later on.
During the day camps at Science Central, are you able to administer medications?
Yeah, our camp director, Dale, will administer medications, provided though that parents have provided the proper paperwork and that the medication is in its original container with its label on it. And then we also have, that would need to be disclosed in the medical release form that we have parents sign as well before their kids come to camp.
Okay, great.
So with your camps, how do you guys deal with those behavior issues that we do see with our kiddos on the spectrum at times?
So our staff teachers have always been trained to address behavioral issues by redirecting the camper, by giving verbal reminders of what appropriate behaviors are if possible. If the camper continues to be disruptive, then we'll go ahead and try and gently guide them to the corner of the classroom. We don't want to remove anybody from the classroom. We want them to be able to come back to an activity at their own pace, but maybe pulling them over to the corner where they are going to be able to, just take a moment to themselves and refocus by maybe coloring or building something with Legos for however much time we need. That's a plus that we have with having an extra staff member, is that we have someone who's going to be in the room with them to kind of monitor them and to help them when they're ready to come back to the activity. Or even just to make sure that they're playing appropriately by themselves, if that's something that they've chosen to do for the whole day. We will, though, of course, with especially disruptive behavior, just let the parent know. We always want our campers to come back, but just let them know, just in case there's anything that the parent can do at home to kind of help reinforce the behaviors in the classroom, since we do have other kids. With campers with known special needs, we do try and ask questions from the parents as much as possible, so that way we can prepare our staff. So that way, if it's something that they need to eat lunch by themselves, because I know chewing can bother a lot of kids who are on the spectrum. So if they need to have lunch in a separate space from all of the rest of the campers, then we want to make sure that we can make that accommodation for them.
Yeah, it's really important for families when they're filling out your questionnaire, I think, to be very upfront about the types of behaviors that you might expect. The success of their child and and their camp experience is very much going to be tied to the kind of information they disclose. So we always encourage families to be as open as possible, because everybody wants the best camp experience for your child. So another question about staff and training. If they see a child being picked on, or maybe they're being excluded, what is your bullying policy at Science Central?
Yeah, so bullying is not tolerated at all. The bullying camper will be redirected, moved away from whoever they're bullying. We will do our best to discipline them, up to and including calling parents if we need to have them be removed from the day at camp. But we do our best to try and talk any bullying, just talk to a bully while they're here in the building, explain why their behavior is not appropriate and why they need to be respectful of all of the campers. Because the campers are also being respectful of that bully in their time as well. Again, that's where our high educator to camper ratio comes in handy. And then when we also have day camps, we also have other staff as well. So if we need to remove a couple of students completely from the situation, we do have other staff members in the building who are able to do that and to help resolve the situation.
So with camps, are there opportunities for our parents to maybe volunteer for the camp or other programming that you guys have at Science Central?
Yeah, we are always looking for volunteers at Science Central. We have a pretty well-established volunteer program that can meet a lot of different volunteer interests, including preparing for upcoming activities, for the next day's programming and things like that. For parents of autistic children, we do encourage them to let their child be as independent as possible. But if that's something that maybe they would like to come in and have lunch with their camper, they're more than welcome to do that and have some extra time with them during the day.
Thank you, Megan, for joining us today. Our listeners are going to be able to find all of the links available for Science Central in the show notes. So be sure to check out the AWS Special Abilities days, as well as summer camp offerings at Science Central. Thank you for joining us. Our listeners learned a lot today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Did you know that April is Autism Awareness Month? Well, My Autism Ally is going to celebrate with our Cruisin' for Acceptance event on Sunday, April 25th from 1 to 4 p.m. Glenbrook Square is hosting this year's unique COVID-19 conscious event outdoors in the Carson's parking lot. And instead of walking together, we will drive together to show our autism acceptance. We will travel through Fort Wayne in our decorated cars, spreading awareness and showing our enthusiasm, love, and acceptance for those affected by autism. The parade starts at 2 p.m. We'll observe all traffic laws and ask that you decorate your vehicle so it's safe for you and all your fellow travelers. The event will also include a vendor fair, music, and other COVID-friendly activities. Even though this is an outdoor event, we require all participants to wear a mask and maintain social distancing guidelines for the safety of our disability population. You can also participate with us in a contactless way by just driving with us. You determine what your comfort level is in regards to your interaction with others during this event. The event is open to the public and free, but hey, donations are always accepted. It's kind of how we pay for things, like support groups and this podcast you're listening to. Sponsorships and vendor space options are also available. Go to our website at myautismally.org and contact us for more information.
This next segment, you may be an autism parent if you understand the acronym alphabet soup of autism, ASD, ABA, ADA, ADP, BCBA, BIP, BSP, DSM, IEE, IPE, MSDD, SSI, SSDI, VR, and many more.
Thanks for listening. Please stay connected with us on Facebook, Instagram, and sign up for our newsletter at myautismally.org. Talk with you next time at the My Autism Ally podcast.